Hi, I'm Tom Field, Senior Vice President of Editorial with Information Security Media Group. My topic today is Managed Detection and Response. It's my privilege to be speaking with Sharda Tickoo. She is the Technology Head with Trend Micro India. Sharda, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So we're seeing this trend in organizations investing in managed detection and response. So my question for you, is it a result of lack of technology, lack of skills, or both?
What happens here is in enterprises, right? So today's threat landscape, as you know, it's changing, right? And it's not only the threat landscape; it's also the IT landscape in general, right? And then we are talking about a lot of these, new age technologies like EDR, like breach detection, and everything, which are going to give you more insights into what's happening in an ecosystem, and hence you can take more proactive decisions, right? So what happens is that these technologies throw in a lot of information, right, which is good. But the challenges which enterprises feel is that they do not have time to manage these alerts, right? It's complex, right? Because you need to have someone who's an expert in the network, also who's an expert in the endpoint, also who would know threats, who would know how an operating system behaves, right? And it is time consuming, right? So what we see is that more often than not, while enterprises invest in a lot of technologies, but to take meaningful ROI from the technology, it becomes very tedious to do that, because a lack of skill set, lack of insights, and into all of this, right? So that's where, when we talk about MDR, it comes as a sigh of relief to an organization that if there is a trusted security provider who can do this for me, right, and probably do this continuously, right, 24/7, which would take care of my skill set shortage, and also ensure that I get response at the right time, I get alerts whenever it is needed, the relevant ones, and they don't have to have a bench of people who would rotate around the clock. So I think it's a mix of the skill set shortage, and B, I would say reduce the complexity of managing these alerts which all these technologies throw up.
Sharda, you talked about EDR. And of course, there's a great emphasis these days on endpoint security protection. Yeah. What are the distinctions you want to make between EDR and MDR?
So endpoint security, unfortunately, it took a few high-end breaches for industry to figure out that endpoint security cannot be ignored anymore, right? So we all know a few years back when we were talking about the security, like even a CISO's office, they were more aligned towards network, right? Network security. And endpoint was just about antivirus, right? So which is, of course, not true, right? So we are talking about endpoint prevention platforms now, which will have, and then we are talking about detection and response to build on top, right? So what essentially comprises of an MDR solution, right? I would say it would not only be a endpoint detection and response. It will not only be endpoints. If you want to have an end-to-end managed detection response, it should cover your networks, it should cover your data centers, which are, by the way, hybrid and going anywhere out of your cozy perimeter. It should also control your OT environments if you have. So what I would say is that when we're talking about MDR solution, it's not only the endpoint which should be taken into consideration. When we talk about MDR, it should be the entire ecosystem, and then a beautiful analytics engine running on top of these all technologies, and then some human intervention, a threat analyst, who can look into the particular logs and give you meaningful data.
So Sharda, how is Trend Micro addressing the market for MDR?
So we're glad we have recently launched an MDR offerings, and then we're very proud to say that when we are talking about MDR again, going by the philosophy which I just said, it's not only the endpoint that we are catering to, right? We are a very strong hybrid data center cloud security players. We have a presence at the network level, we have the presence at the data center level. Of course, we have been a very, very strong endpoint protection platform vendor for all these years, right? And we are our offering of MDR is covering all these three points in any of the enterprise network, and we would be delivering these services with our highly skilled resources who would be analyzing these logs on a very sophisticated analytics platform which we have built, and that is a service that we'll be offering to our customers. And it's a recent launch, and we see that this is where the need is. We have recently also, our endpoint protection platform has been revolutionized to integrate EDR capabilities, as we see a lot of analysts talking about that EPP and EDR vendors are, capabilities are getting merged. And we recently launched Apex One, which is our full-blown EPP plus EDR kind of a solution, our endpoint protection solution. And then it was natural for us to figure out that if we are making that technologically advancements in our products, we also need to back it up with a very strong services which can, which enterprises can leverage, and hence we have rolled out this MDR service for our customers.
Very good. Thank you for taking time to share with me today.
Thank you. Pleasure all mine.
We've been talking about MDR. I've been speaking with Sharda Tickoo with Trend Micro. For Information Security Media Group, I'm Tom Field. Thank you very much.